everybody, and welcome back to the Atmospheric Cafeteria. And I'm gonna do a wee bit of a Moonology reading. It is 3:25:15. As I was sitting here, I had the words lotus blossom coming to my mind, and I saw the words 707 and heard the words spiritual growth time going on. So whatever that means to you, however it resonates, however your soul resonates with it, your soul resonance. So we're gonna do a wee bit of shuffling and see what goes on. That's slowing yourself down. One of the most wonderful things you can learn is how to feel comfortable when things are slower. On the bottom of the deck, when I opened everything up, it said the pass, and that card just came back to my mind, so I put that out there. We'll see what happens. Sometimes you gotta watch a reading a couple of times and see all the little things inside. We all know I'm gonna need those. And I remembered them. Yay! They're not in another room, and they're the ones I really, really like. They're not my subscription ones, but that's okay. I threw those away during COVID when I had COVID, and I knocked them into something. Anyway. The moon's reflection, accept responsibility. Twin souls, accept responsibility of the past, maybe. Synchronicity. They say accepting responsibility for your past will bring synchronicity into your present. Bring the things that you are looking to achieve in. As they say, that's a lesson to you too. I'm going to take that lesson in, Spirit. Thank you very much. All you have to do is sit there and say, Spirit, I accept this lesson, and Spirit will help you learn that lesson. All you have to do is realize in the moment when the lesson is coming to you and stop in that moment and reflect so that you can see what you're doing, you can see where you're going, and you can choose to make different choices and change. Because Spirit's saying that's all what this is all about, self-acceptance. Accept your responsibilities. You have to look at your past. You have to look at your shadow. You have to do all of that if what you want, in the present, if you want synchronicity in the present of everything that you want. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit asked at the door, stay open. We have lots of cars out there today, and buses. We don't normally get that many down this street, even though it's like a hospital way. All the places you'll go. The Dr. Seuss book is coming to my mind. The Waiting Place. I'm being shown the past card again. Sometimes your past can be a waiting place. Sometimes your past can be a waiting place. Sometimes we can get stuck in our past and live there just a little too much. Okay, Spirit, I'm listening. You tell me where we're going. way stations and way places. Things that don't quite flip over in what you want. And when you feel anxious, just slow and breathe. And relax into that slowness. Because it's in that slowness that the thing you're looking for you will see in front of your eyes. The thing you're looking for will be there. It's in that slowness that you will see what you have lost. And that's so important for us ADHDers and AUDHDers. Because we can get so hyperactive within us and so relaxed on the outside. It's all a balance, they say. Balance equals synchronicity. It's what brings the synchronicity of what you're looking for in front of you. Hoofty. Change your tune. Change your tune. Releasing. Shadow work. Communicate. Changes. Yeah. Releasing. Shadow work. Communicate. Changes. Accept responsibility. And strength. As much as they want me to take off the bottom. Accepting responsibility came out. You know, accepting responsibility brings changes. Changes bring strength. And it's hard because it's hard to bring changes to your life. It's hard to take that responsibility and say, oh my God, I did this, I was at fault. It's hard to do that. But when you do it this first time, the next time it comes up, you're able to stop, step back, analyze the situation, and walk forward and go, yeah, you know what? You are right. And when you do that, that shows someone what it's like to feel good about, I was right and someone said it. And that means that when they go to somebody and they're having an argument with them, they might step back and go, God, this person's right, and they'll feel the courage to do that. Because once you feel that courage to step forward and say, oh no, you're right, you know, and I'm not talking about cowing down to right, I'm talking about absolutely 100%, you know you're right, you know they're right, and you look at them, excuse me for that misstep, you know they're right, and you literally do that. That's a growth point in your life. That's a sonic boom that boosts you forward in confidence, because the next time this happens, you can do it again. So this guy down here that said that this guy was right, this guy, the next time he's up against a challenge like that, will, and every challenge will be a little bit harder, a teeny bit, a teeny bit, a teeny bit, is growth. Because eventually someone's going to step back and look at them and say, oh my God, you're right. And then you've got a conversation you can have. No one's fighting and no one's arguing. You have an absolute conversation right there. That is what brings strength. Not lording over, but standing in your truth, standing in who you are. You know, do you like the daisies and the swan? Oh my God, there's 2 swans. Seriously? The universe is just laughing at me right now. Anyway, that's not for you guys, that's for me. But at the end of the day, it's also for you guys, because you know, you like your flowers, you like your birds, you like your silly stuff. Thank you, Spirit. I know that was silly. That was silly of the universe. I know the divine works in odd little ways. But, you know, you're being you. Once you do this, accept responsibility, and you do this shadow work over here, that brings the changes. It allows you to be you. But before you can do this, you have to release and you have to change your tune. You have to make the choice to change. You have to make that choice to accept the things that you like, little by little. You like, you know, playing the flute, you like classical music, you like looking at the moon or the sun or your magic or whatever. You're the one that has to make the change and choose that you're going to accept yourself as you are. Because if you don't do that, you can't release. You can't howl to the moon. You can't mourn these things that made you shut yourself down. And you have to do that. And that's the shadow work of it all. That's the shadow work of it all. And this shadow work is really important, actually. Ooh, hi, Spirit. Spirit is strong tonight. Welcome in, stranger. Hi, Ellie. You know, it's that moment when your spirit, when your brother, my brother comes to me in his spirit, and he's met this energy that just walked in. It's just funny. It's very strong. Anyway, you are the one that has to change your tune, okay? Oof, Spirit's got my voice tonight. You're the one that has to change your tune. You're the one that has, and you have to want to make this change. You have to be the one that wants to release. You have to want to communicate. And when we talk about communication, Spirit says, we're not talking about communicating with other people. Yeah, you're going to do that day to day, aren't you? You're going to communicate with a therapist, aren't you, eventually? You're going to communicate with people at work and your loved ones and your spouse. But you're only going to tell those people so much as you're changing. The real communication is within yourself. The real communication is you on the inside. It's you as you sit in the desert by yourself alone. That's the most important person to communicate, because that's the person you're doing the shadow work with. That's the person you're changing your tune with. That's the person you're releasing with. That's the person you're accepting responsibility with this person on the inside. Because without this accepting responsibility, without this communication of the person on the inside, there is no self-work. I am reminded of Soul Eater. I'm talking about the animated series, as I have not read the manga. If anybody knows, please let me know if I should read the manga and if I will cry too much to read it. I get like really sensitive with like animals and like my favorite characters, and one of my favorite characters is God, the one I can't remember, Maka, and not Soul. Holy crap, I can't remember his name. It's him in the circle. It's him in the circle. What was his name? Shoot, how can I forget his name? Excuse my coffee. Hold on. Ooh, 7:20:22 on the clock. Spiritual. Wait, I do need to look that one up, it says. Keep the faith. Spiritual growth. Keep the faith. Keeping the faith as you're spiritually growing is really important, and that's 722. That's important, and you've got to double time keep that faith, because remember, 2 2s equal 4 1s, okay? And those are new beginnings. So you've got like 4 new beginnings plunging you into this keeping the faith. So that's lots of backing up, because 2 plus 2 is what? 4. And I forget what 4 is. Hold on. I can find it though. Wait, is this Safari? That's, it's that moment. That moment where you can't use your phone because you're old. You'll get there, you youngins. You'll get there. And it's okay when you do. You'll be fine. You're just strolling into it as confidently as you can. Yeah, see, and 4. So by the time you get to your 4s, you've had those 4 new beginnings that plunge you into the 2s, which gives you the double strength to keep the faith. When you add those 2 together, you have this spirit that's with you, that's making sure that you are never going it alone through your spiritual journey, through your spiritual growth, because it's only after that that you reach your 8s, which are abundance, and your 9s, which are your final endings. And that is your test area where, hold on, I've got to write that down, because we're not supposed to talk about that right now. After, I'm not going to know what this means. After 9, sonic boom. Okay. But it's important, because as you're going through the test, you have to accept your responsibility. You have to release your changes. You have to change, because if you don't change, nothing changes around you. And you can't change for someone else. You have to change for you. Thank you, dyslexia. Krona. I looked up the name and then that's too funny. Krona. It's Krona. Maka and Krona. So I'm reminded here in the communicate part of Krona in the desert in the circle, and Maka just walking in and forcing him to communicate. And that was really important for Krona to understand that there was someone there. And when you're trying to communicate with yourself, the fact of the matter is, at some point, you have to realize that you're there for you. You're there for yourself. You, Krona, you have to let the Maka part of you walk in. Your yin to your yang. Hi, Oscar. Hi, Beans. Let me put that here so that it doesn't get knocked down. Hi, puppy. We say I love you. We say I love you because he woke up. Oh, yeah, you're good. I'm going to move that there because that's not going to be in anybody's way. Yeah, thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, Oscar Beans. Ooh, we got our Ginger. We got our kitten boy here. It's important. You have to find your inner Maka. And let's face it, Maka wasn't giving up, was she? Spoilers. Maka wasn't giving up until she became the scythe as well. And that's what you have to do. Part of doing your shadow work is learning not only to become the Meister, but to also become the weapon. And when you become the Meister and the weapon, you have to, as the Meister, be able to wield the weapon. Okay? So you have to be the Meister of yourself, and you have to be able to wield your own weapon. And that creates a lot of balance. And taking care of your past, because I'm being reminded of the past card, means that you're doing the shadow work of the past. You're looking at that little Krona, and you're picking him up, and you're picking them up, and you're loving them as they are and accepting them as they are, even if they were imperfect, even if nobody else accepted them. You decided to pick them up and hold yourself in your arms and say, you know what, I'm going to accept you as you are, because you know what, nobody else did, and I thought I was fine. Nobody else thought I was fine, but I thought I was fine. And you know what? At the end of the day, that is what matters, Spirit says. You thought you were fine. No one else thought you were fine. You thought you were fine. We're not talking about people who can sit there and say, oh yeah, I was a liar, I was a bad kid. And you can justifiably sit there and go, okay, I was doing this shit and it wasn't okay. And nobody was hurting me, okay? We're talking about that you're just an asshole kid, nobody was hurting you, you had good parents. Okay, you are out of the ballpark. We're talking about the kids who there was nothing wrong with them, but everybody else told them they were wrong. You love that part of you, and you pick that part of you up, and you hold them and you say, no one can hurt you anymore. And you are fine the way you are, because you are me, and I accept all of me, including the wonky bits of me, including the strange little creepy bits of me, including the bits of me that, you know, are Mexican and love the fact that over in the corner over there, I have one of the dog, it's a dog bed with a dog piñata and a dog taco. I think it's freaking hysterical. I love it. I'll put a picture up. I absolutely love it. Like, I don't know why. It just tickles my heart. I just can't take it. It's so cute. And it's like, at some point, it's like, you have to accept you. And part of that is accepting that little kid that nobody else would accept because you knew you were fine. Yeah, you like to put your Kool-Aid in with your in with your SpaghettiOs, and you know what? Everybody else thought it was gross when you called it blood and guts. And you know what? That's okay. It's perfectly fine. They didn't have to like it, you did. Did you grow up to be a serial killer? No. Did you grow up to watch serial killer shows? Maybe. But boo, boo, boo. Part of this is learning how many chocolate chips you can put into the batter before you're burning those chocolate chips all to hell and you got a stanky kitchen. You know? It's change. It's work. It's love. It's learning to communicate and accept yourself. And it's so important. It's so important because it brings the synchronicity. It brings the synchronicity, which brings the growth, which brings the happiness. And is it hard? Yes. Does it suck? Yes. Is it hard in the moment? 100%. Have I done it? Yes. And that's why Spirit's like, yeah, you can resonate a little bit with this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take the lessons where they come. I'm not going to complain. Because you know what, sometimes when you know you're ascending and you know that you can learn to, you shouldn't complain. Yeah, it's one thing if it's a forced education, which is abusive. It's another thing if you know you're sitting here and it comes across to you that, oh, this is a learning moment I can take that learning moment in, wherever it comes from. Because that learning and that education is so important. They said it glides you along. It glides you along, they say. Not only does it glide you along this life, but it glides you along after you pass away and you're sitting there in review. You can sit there and say, oh, I learned these lessons. Did you see this? And you're excited. Like, I'm so excited right now. Like, they're like, oh my God, look at these lessons I learned. You know, it's like when you're talking about like this really cool, happy thing that happened to you and you're like talking to someone about it and they're like, oh my God, that's like the best thing that ever happened. Like if you're like, oh my God, I was out and about and I saw Dave Matthews and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And he's like, what are you doing here? Like, oh my God, you're Dave Matthews. No, you're Dave Matthews. And like, it's that being able to say, oh, I had this cute little interaction with somebody, you know, and we went ha 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 ha, and then we just high-fived and left because nobody felt the need to take a picture. Nobody felt the need to have an autograph. It was just a cute little memory. And then maybe 5 years later, you and your friend end up going down to wherever, seeing him, and he goes, oh my God, I remember you from the mall. You know, it's this happiness. Wow, Spirit. Whew. It's this happiness that allows things to, wow, where was that going, Spirit? Oof. We'll bring it back there, but you know, it's that happiness that the synchronicity brings. It's that wow, that Spirit was like insane. I can't even remember what they were talking about now. We were talking about learning and growing and releasing and changing in Corona and accepting those parts of you. Knowing how to release and grow. Understanding change. And go for it. Go for it. We'll leave it at coffee. And tell your friend about it. Happy moments. And the balance. That was an excited spirit. Hi again. It's that exciting moment, they say, of understanding how far you can go. You don't need to take a picture. You don't need to take the signature. It's just, oh, this was a fun moment, and there you go. And it's, you know, doing that shadow work allows you to see people and accept people because you've seen and accepted yourself. You know, you've realized you're the Meister, and you understand you're the weapon, and you find that balance. It's that balance of understanding how far you want to go in these situations, and then doing that. I mean, then 5 years later, you know, maybe you go to a concert and he sees you in the crowd. He's like, "Oh my God!" You know, it's that whole thing. Bringing yourself together as a whole. You know, lift me up, love, from the bottom. Lift me up, love, every day. Pay no mind to passing fancies. So that's spiritual growth. I mean, that is what gives you the sonic booms of life, too. Watch for signs, go for it, and cut your losses. Follow the moon, reach for the moon. Moon in detriment. Cut your losses was upside down. I almost feel like cut your losses should almost be on its side a little bit. Because, you know, part of this change is, you know, cut your losses can mean a lot of things. Like, when it's upside down right now, like, it feels like, oh, that's true, that is a first instinct. My personal this is personal, first instinct is to have it up this way, because sometimes just cutting people out of your life is part of your shadow work that can help. But that doesn't necessarily feel right for this reading, but if you needed to hear that, that's okay. To take the people out of your life that you need to. That's all right, like family and whatnot. But this feels like it is upside down, and it's kind of like a form of cut your losses where you're analyzing the things that you're losing or that you've lost, and you're looking at it, and in one sense you can look at it as in, you know, you cut your losses. You can, you know, cut your losses, you know, what you got there? Oh wow, such is life, right? Or you turn it upside down and you analyze it and you go, it's really not as such as life. It's actually, this is the right path of life. Cutting my losses. People, places, things, I'm eliminating them from my life because I'm doing the shadow work. I just saw the signs and I went for it, and I realized losing certain things out of my life isn't a terrible thing. This can be people, can be places, this can be things, this can be having a giant t-shirt collection and realizing that there is absolutely no way that this is practical anymore because you have 32 totes, and it's just insane. And yes, you're going to look at every single one and have a valid reason why we need to keep each one of them. And it might be fair to categorize them in, like, if they're band t-shirts that you've seen, and have a couple of quilts made. Maybe it might even be nice to take these t-shirts, have some quilts made, and donate them so that, you know, whatever, so for charity, you know. So that's what, you know, cutting your losses upside down here is. Hello, Spirit. It's actually analyzing the situation and asking yourself, is that really a loss, or is that a blessing? Is that a blessing? And if you think it's a blessing, go for it. And then watch for those signs of synchronicity. Watch for those signs. Watch for those signs, because the higher power will bring them to you. Oh, hi. Woofty. Ooh, hiya. That's a fun spirit. They're like, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because that's going to bring you all this courage. Now, this higher power, I'm not talking about Jesus, because this higher power is always you. It's always you. You know, the best thing I ever heard was, I was listening to National Public Radio, and this is me talking right now. Spirit's kind of stepping aside a little bit so I can say this, because they think this is important and should be taken correctly. I was listening to National Public Radio because I'm that little geek, and there was a man on, and I cannot remember the episode, but I know it was like 20 years ago, and he was saying that he had taken Jesus as his savior and then went out that night and did a line of coke. He goes, it doesn't matter how much you take Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And he goes, that's why AA and those programs don't always appeal to everybody, because you can't take Jesus as your Lord and Savior in order to get off drugs, because you have to make yourself the higher power. Now, and that's what he said, you know, until you make yourself the higher power, you're not going to get off those drugs. You're not going to stop drinking. You're not going to choose to change your life. You're not going to choose to step back and look at your house that might be hoardy or really dirty and go, okay, I can't do this anymore. What friend can I trust to come over and say, listen, can we start in a corner? And then commit to it. And understand that you're going to have feelings and emotions. And as you're going through stuff, you're going to cry. Because it's emotional to go through those things. And going through those things is your shadow work. That's how you change your tune. You release this energy and you go for it, and you cut the losses of the things that aren't working. And that brings you strength, because you're able to accept responsibilities and changes. I mean, it really brings new moons and new beginnings. I mean, oh, we just had a blood moon too. So guys, this is a good sign. This is a good sign for you. We just had a blood moon, and this is a blood moon I just noticed. So yeah, it's cleansing. When you do this soul work, it's cleansing. It is completely cleansing, you know? And that's what we're looking for. Excuse me, pardon me. That release of the burp, that release of the gas, that release of the wind from your behind, the wind from beneath your wings, shall we say, your cheek wings. You're funny. It's so important. Because we can take Jesus. I mean, if you need to sit there and you need to meditate and go, okay, Buddha, let me read. What does it say? Okay. All right. We're taking Buddha as the higher power. Eventually, you need to kind of come to a balance there. Even if you're taking Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you've got to come to the balance there to realize, okay, I am the higher power. Only I can control me. Jesus can't make me do anything. Your parents can't make you do anything. No one can make you do anything except for you, Spirit says. Oh, only you. You're the one. You're the one, and only you. And it's always going to be that way. Exactly. especially when you have a defiance disorder, yes. You're the only one that can make yourself get up and do the dishes every single day and choose to put that dopamine in your head rather than the I'm going to feel depressed. Because when you feel depressed, that's the moment you really need to do those 3 dishes, because you're only going to feel more like shit and crap if you walk out and see those 3 dishes 3 hours later. You're going to slide down in the hole. You're going to undo the shadow work. Now remember, when you do this, you're going to step back a few paces every now and again. And that's okay, because for every step you take forward, you've grown. So when you take 1 step back, it's going to knock you in the chest. But you already did the work here, so you know that you need to just review this and then take that step forward. If you get knocked back 3 steps, but you've already gained 8, yeah, it's going to feel like a real sucker punch to the balls. But you know what? You learn. You relearn. You look at what you already know and you relearn and you march forward. And you go, okay. And if you got to do it a little slower, that's fine, because we don't want to be toxically positive, do we? We want to be just underwhelmingly positive. That's a warm streak right there. And it's all about the cleansing of yourself, of your body, of your spirit, of your soul. It's understanding the things that you're bringing out of your life in order to bring the good things in, the synchronicities in that you want. You know, what is it that you want? What is it that... Hey, hey. Oi. What is it you're barking for? Hey, Pup Pup. I heard it. It's all right. I know. You did a good job. You did a great job. I'm proud of you. Teeny tiny ears. Smell a little Wolfenstein. Little woofties. Wolfman. Yeah, Wolfman. What does the Wolfman do? He changes once a month. And what is that? You know what? You can be like the Wolfman and know when the full moon is coming in and say, you know what? The full moon is coming in. I'm going to take those days. I'm going to set them aside in my life. And even if I have to go to work on those days, or I need to pick up my kids at some time during those days, I'm going to sit and reflect in the way that I feel I need to. That can just be meditating, where you're sitting and you're allowing your brain to just let things process and pass by. Because yes, there is a point of meditation where you're focusing on an object, but there's also a point of meditation where your brain needs your hyperactive ass to slow the fuck down. And I'm calling myself out on that. And it needs you just to stop and let things pass by. And by pass by, it means do not interact with them. Don't look at it and go, oh God, the kid's appointment, next Thursday at 5 o'clock. No, because if you just let it pass, yes, you're going to be worried, you're going to forget. But if you stop and you go and write it down, then you stop the process your brain is doing. But if you sit there and you let it happen, and you just let everything slowly pass, and you let that panic quell, and you let it relax down, you'll find your brain will center itself. And will start to balance itself. And then when you wake up, your first thing on your mind will be kid's appointment next Thursday at 3. Or maybe you'll walk into the kitchen after this, see the calendar, or look at your phone and see the calendar, go, oh yeah, we got to put that in there. And once you see that, immediately do it, because you will forget. If this means it's a sticky note on a fridge, that's your way. That's your organization. You do your organization the way you need to. You need to put sprinkles on top of those chocolate chips, that's great. You put whichever sprinkles you need to, because those are yours, that's your method. You do it. Why are we complaining about your method? You're the one that has to deal with it, right? You're the one that's going to do this shadow work in the way that you're going to do it. At the end of the day, this is just a guide to say these are the things you need to do if you want the synchronicities in your life to fall the way that you want them to. Is it always going to pan out? No, because there are going to be things that the universe says, yeah, you might want that, but hey, we're not going to do that because you need to go on this path and you need to feel this sorrow and you need to learn and grow, so that when you cross over onto the other side and you're in review, before you even get to review, you're talking to the other spirits after you wake up, and you're like, hey, I learned this, this, and this, and this. And they can be like, really? You're just having like a chat conversation here, you know? You're visiting and seeing people. So, okay. Spirit, is there anything else that we should say at the moment? Is there anything else you'd like everybody to know? Or do we have it? Mystery keeps coming up. Mystery. Seek healing and support where you need it. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. If you're, having trouble in the moment, call 988. No one is ever going to say anything bad about it. And if they do, those are not your helpers. Those are not your people. That is not your support group. Those are the people who don't understand. And all you can do is look at them and go, oh my God, I'm here at this point, and I'm working on my shadows so much that I don't feel comfortable in my own skin, and I'm calling 988. And I feel this way because I'm doing the work, but you're being passive aggressive towards me and saying, oh, you'll get over it because you're unwilling to do the work. And people who are unwilling to do the work will be passive aggressive and say, oh, you'll get over it. You'll be fine. Yeah, there are people those are the people that are unwilling to do this work. Those are the people that the universe leaves here longer to see if they'll even get the goddamn message. Because at some point, those people don't even understand. Their soul doesn't even understand why they're here anymore. And this isn't narcissists. That's whatever. That's a whole other game. This is just people who are just passive aggressive, nasty assholes who just don't want to deal with whatever the frig is in their own goddamn past. They're not going to seek healing, and they're going to live in the mystery, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to seek healing because there's real courage in seeking the support of the people that you need, and that brings a really huge healing. I'm also seeing this blue butterfly, so blue butterflies might be very, very important to somebody. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show this to you. I feel like this might be a sign for someone out there to bring healing support. And I feel like there's a loved one here that might have said something about, I'll show you a blue butterfly, or a blue butterfly. I'll show you a blue butterfly. When you see the blue butterfly, it's me. But you're like, yeah, it's not a text blue butterfly. It's either a real blue butterfly or something else. And this also has like yellow flowers on it. I'm going to bring it up a little bit closer so you guys can see it. I don't know how well it's going to focus. So, and there's 3 butterflies there. I feel 3 children for some reason. And there's daisies. And there's a strong wind outside right now. A lot of energy. But yeah, Spirit says this is where we're going to leave this for now. This is healing. This is something that if you want to grow and you want to synchronize and you want to go through the sonic booms of life and you want to go forward, this is what we need to do. Because by doing this, we're cleaning our life up. We're cleaning all of this up. We're doing that shadow work. We're putting it in order so that it doesn't control us. We don't control it. We love and accept it as it is. We understand that sometimes we're going to have triggers, but we're going to cut our losses. We're going to ram forward, but we're going to ram forward with practicality. Because even though we're going to cut our losses, we're not going to cut the losses that are helping us. We're cutting the losses that are unhelpful. Whether that's a smoking habit, whether that's a admitting that, you know, you need to give an animal to someone to keep, whether, you know, for a short period of time or whatever, whether that's admitting whatever it is that you need to admit so that you can do the thing, that's what you're doing. Because that is doing the shadow work. That is creating the growth. That is allowing yourself to heal. That is allowing yourself to love yourself. Because that love, that self-healing brings that self-love, and that self-love brings love towards everything else. Once you love yourself, once you accept yourself, that is what allows you as a human being to look at someone else and not judge them so harshly. Are you going to judge them? Yes. And the minute you have that harsh judgment in your mind, step back and ask yourself, do I need to be that harsh? Maybe I might feel that way, but maybe I don't need to be this much of a dick about it. You can look at someone and say they're a dickhead and an asshole and, you know, their spouse cheated on them and they deserve to get divorced. But you don't have to rub it into the point that you're hurting that person more. You can sit there and go, well, you know what? What'd you expect? But you don't have to sit there and go, well, you know, what'd you expect? It's all in your tone. It's all in your balance. And doing your shadow work brings that balance. Are we always going to be in balance? No. Sometimes we're going to be out of balance. Ooh, and Spirit just like walked through me to say that. But, you know. So, yeah. It's about bringing that balance, doing that shadow work, getting that synchronicity in, okay? So I think that's where I'll leave you because everything's kind of getting giggly now, okay? Anyway, you are loved. Your face is loved. And please be good, behave, be happy, and be yourself. Good night. God bless you. And we love you. Bye.